Hey, this is Harley with Pt2. With part 2 of the build series, Build a Better TJ, refer back to part 1 for the Rusty's long arm unboxing video. We have the links, sway bar links, frame mount for the long arm bars, springs and belly pan, all that good stuff. Over here we have the axles that are going to be hooked up to those. ECGS Dana hybrid Dana 44s. ARB air lockers and covers from them. Upgraded shock mounts, just as a direct bolt design. It's going to have Black Magic brakes on it. Synergy ball joints on the front.
What spline axle?
35 spline axles with RCVs in the front.
Excellent.
We have the Jeep up here. We already cut off the previous brackets for the short arm kit. Got that all flushed. And today we're working on taking off the belly pan and jacking up the transmission and motor so that doesn't fall out on us when we take the pan out, because that's what holds it up.
So this bracket back here, can you explain to the people, if they've not taken one off, that?
So I think it's about right here, and it's kind of triangle shaped, and then it has just a 5/16 bolt through both sides of the metal, and it has a short arm that runs to the axle right here about this degree, and the long arm this is the short arm bracket up here, the long arm bracket is up here, so you gain what's that, 14 inches, 15 inches?
Quite a bit.
So you get a lot more travel in the back arm. Where you get most of the long travel is in the front arm, because that one's a lot longer than even the back one.
So how did we remove those brackets?
We just, you ground them off, and then either you can take a air-powered angle grinder and grind them flat, or a grinder with a flap disc. Seems to work even better.
Or if a person's careful with a torch, they could do that. Now
Sure.
I see we've removed the spring buckets too.
Yep, we did the spring buckets there. Actually, you can still see them a little bit because the welds are so deep in the frame. They're about this angle, and we're going to put the Terraflex leveling ones that put the spring at about this angle right here.
Cool.
Old ones were about right there, and the problem with that it would have the spring coil like this by the time it met the axle.
Okay, so let's get that cross member off this.
Yep.
Alright, so we're here with this 06 Rubicon with 50,000 miles on it. It's got this skin that we put on and that door. You know, look past that silver and red, because this thing's going to look beautiful when it's done. You know, a couple things I wanted to share with you is our original TJ, the one that I own now, we did different. Same suspension that we're putting on this, maybe some different shocks, different spring heights, but same arms and belly pan and all that. But we did it different. Instead of being on 4 jack stands, we just jacked the back up, put 2 jack stands with a floor jack, and we left the entire front axle assembly in while we finished the entire back. So we were able to install the frame saddles, the belly pan, the long arms, get the entire back axle assembly in, then we moved to the front. That's the way I'd advise doing it rather than this. Quite a bit more secure.
Alright, so we're here at the rear axle. If you are going to be regearing and taking the axle out, go ahead and drain the fluid now rather than on the floor. Next, start the removal process of your shocks. There should be 2 13mm bolts up on the frame, both sides. Go ahead and remove those with liquid wrench and a torch. Take your time. It's much easier than drilling and tapping for hours. After that, we'll move on to the sway bar links. Go ahead and remove those. Once that's done, begin the process of removal of the track bar. After the track bar is done, begin the removal process of the lower and upper control arms, and there will be quite a bit of cutting on the frame where those mounts used to be. The belly pan, and it takes a 13mm as of now till they change Jeep models, and I'm using a 3/8 impact.
Well, you can definitely see we put some liquid wrench on here to assist in taking them bolts off. Take your time, you know, he's using an impact here. I actually would probably advise using a 3/8 wrench. That way you know you're not going to snap one of those off. Now what we're doing here is we're lifting that back of that transfer case up so that way we can finish sliding the 4x6 up underneath of that transmission. I mean, we're literally only going to be lifting it 1/4 to 3/8 of an inch, not very much. And what that's going to do is take all the pressure off this belly pan and really assist us in reinstalling the new Rusty's belly pan. Here you're going to see him slide it in here any second. There you go. All right, so word of caution. You know, don't do everything that we're doing. You know, I've done this for a lot of years, and I want you guys to be safe out there. Make sure everything's blocked good, really good on jack stands. Don't be using cheap jack stands. Now mind you, how many ton jack stands are
12.
these? These are 12-ton Harbor Freight jack stands, but they're way heavier than any. And we have 4 of them under here, plus we have additional blocking. So I think we're ready to drop this carrier, aren't we? Yeah. Okay.
We had to upgrade to the 1/2 inch 18mm deep socket because the 3/8 impact was not doing it. A little dusty. Alright, we want to do
2 in the center. Just leave 1 in the center on each side.
okay.
Alright, let's drop it down. It is loose, right? Yeah.
Stock's a lot lighter. This is Jeep dandruff.
Can you explain what Jeep dandruff is?
It's the particles that fall off your Jeep, especially when you work on it.
Now, could that be trail dandruff?
Sure.
Okay. So he's got a little. He's got a little cleanup here. I mean, this is just surface rust. But before we move ahead, he's going to take care of that. All right, so word of advice. So all these bolts, for example, like these frame bolts, even if you aren't using them, take them 6 bolts, put them in their own marked Ziploc bag, right? Cross member or transmission mount, cradle, whatever you want to say. Bolts, and for example, these 4 transmission mount nuts, they will be in their own separate Ziploc bag. Put them all together neatly, write on them with a Sharpie. Reassembly comes and goes. I'll be honest, sometimes I pick and choose whether or not I want to use their bolt or nut or the OEM, because the OEM stuff's strong too. So, and plus, there's always missing hardware. Well, you can see Harley's running his angle grinder here with a flat disc. Well, he'll be switching to the wire wheel, and you know, when he runs that wire wheel, he's going to be running it 4 different directions. The reason being is, you know, with pitch, you're going to want to attack all the sides of that pitted area, and by changing the angle of the grinder, that'll help achieve it. Then he'll switch to navel jelly. That's an anti-stop rust, and throw some sealer on after that. We'll let that navel jelly set on there for an hour to 2 hours, really get in there and get that rust out of there. Well, hopefully you've enjoyed this. This should set us up pretty good for setting the frame saddles and the belly pan on this next episode.